Welcome back to Be Rich. What is occupying most people's mind in India is today crude oil. It's not only in India, across the world, people are worried about crude oil because crude is basically the fuel for transportation. From crude comes diesel, aviation fuel, and petrol, which basically drives the economy. From there comes heating oil, shipping fuel, etc., which affect the global economy. A rise in fuel prices affects the economy everywhere. So all of us are very keen to know what are the possibilities of crude. So there is a guessing game going along. There are some reports which says that crude will shoot to $180 a barrel. Some of them say it is far pitched. But let's look at what happened in Russia Ukraine. In Ukraine, before the war erupted, crude was trading at $94 a barrel. After Russia decided to invade Ukraine, the price of crude went up to $128 and then collapsed back to $94 because the world said there will be a peace treaty between Russia and Ukraine. No such peace treaty happened and crude is back at $108. Ukraine is a short term phenomenon. The war between Russia and Ukraine can end, but still, the damages done to crude is not going to end anytime soon. The International Energy Agency has said that 3 million barrels of Russian oil will disappear from the market coming from April. Though it is only America which has announced a ban, and some European countries have said they will phase it out. Lot of countries will be unable to import Russian crude because it is very difficult to pay the Russians. So, Russian crude of 3 million barrels will disappear from the market. There are only two countries which have the ability to offset it. One is Saudi Arabia and other is United Arab Emirates. Two other major crude oil exporters are in the negative list of the Western world. One is Venezuela and the other is, of course, Iran. And there is no hope that in the short term the Americans will ease sanctions on either of them. So, what are the factors other than Ukraine that are going to affect the price of crude in the next 6 months? Even if the war is end, any respite will be minimal because the sanctions from Russia are not going to wind down tomorrow. It's not like Putin is going to pack up and go home tomorrow and the world is going to kiss up and make up. So 3 million barrels is out of the window. There are three major factors that can affect the price of crude apart from the Ukrainian war, which we need to look at. One is what is OPEC going to do, and what is the power that America has over the Arab world to make them raise output when sanctions against Russia begin to bite. You may not believe it, but sanctions against Russia will only begin to bite us in the month of April, not in the month of March. So, can the Americans force Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates to make up for the loss of Russian crude in the market? It does not seem so because neither the Saudis nor the UAE are willing to bite and they have not promised any hike in price of crude. This is because after a long time they are having a free run in the market and they are able to extract their pound of flesh. All these countries have done excesses in finance and are struggling to repair the finances or their balance sheets. Also, they know within next 10 years, crude may not be remain the choice of fuel with electric vehicles catching a major fancy. In India, the government itself says by 2030, 80% of all two wheelers plying will be electric vehicles. This means there will be no demand for crude and crude demand will fall. Therefore, they want to make hay while the sun shines and they are not increasing production of crude. So, this is the first force, and we have to wait and watch how much influence the United States has over these countries. The second and most important aspect which we have to see is what is happening to the shale oil manufacturers or drillers in America. Between 2010 and 2018, it was these shale oil which ramped up productions to such an extent that America became a net exporter of oil and the price of oil collapsed across the globe. But the conditions in America are not as good as it was in 2010. Most of these shale drillers are in serious trouble because they had borrowed money at dirt cheap rates and they are not in any position to repay money. So, for these shale oil to come out, there are two conditions. One, of course, oil prices have to be above 90, and they are. So it is profitable to sell oil. But second, they need money and finance to get started. Since most of them had defaulted in the previous boom, nobody wants to touch them and give them credit. Also, unlike in 2010, the economy of the United States is in overheat mode. Therefore, interest rates are rising. The Fed has already lifted off and has signaled another six increases in this year. This means that the era of cheap credit is over, and therefore, these shale drillers are not going to get cheap credit to drill oil. So, their ability to ramp up productions, the fall from Russia is limited, and nothing much will come out of it. And finally, the third most important piece in the geopolitical jigsaw is the fact that China has a zero COVID policy, which means, unlike the rest of the West and India, which have opened the economy and allowed treatment of COVID from home and relaxed protocols, and almost have implicitly signaled the end of the pandemic, none of the Chinese authorities have done so. They have put people in detention camps when they get COVID, so they are following a zero COVID policy. This is definitely affecting their export hubs, and not lockdowns notwithstanding, Chinese have not been successful in clamping down on COVID. COVID cases are surging in Hong Kong and China. This is the only place which is directly reporting a fourth wave. This has impacted demand in both China and Hong Kong, with property price index in Hong Kong at a multi-decade low. All this indicates that demand in China can collapse and that Chinese economy is slowing. If demand for crude in China collapses, notwithstanding $3 million going out of the production, prices of crude will be tempered. So, price of crude depends on these three factors. One, will they get Saudi and United Arab Emirates to pump more oil? Two, what is the condition of the shale industry in the United States? And finally, how deep is China's rot because of the fourth wave? Only when we have answers for this can we plot the future direction of crude. Till then, all we can do is wait and watch. Thank you for watching. Be rich. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell notification. If you do not turn on the bell notification, you will be not notified when we put out a new video. If you do like this video, kindly consider sharing with your friends and relatives. Once again, I thank you for supporting Be Rich. I have written two books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support.